All right, good day, family. How you guys doing? Hope you're having a good day so far. I'm just going to jump on here for a little bit, and we're going to chat about this latest video that I posted. Very interesting reactions that we received, and we're going to take some time and go over that. We're just giving people a little bit of time to get on. I usually go live a little bit later on in the day, so if there ain't a lot of people on here, that's okay. They'll catch it on the flip. We're going to give people about another minute or so. For those of you who are watching this as a recording, you're watching actually the live, okay? All right, we're going to give it about another 15 seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, thank you so much for tuning in to this broadcast. So glad that you guys can make it. For those of you who are here, big shout to anybody that shows up in the chat. I told you this. We're actually doing this it's the middle of the day, my time out here in the West. And, but for everybody, glad that you're here and you're joining us. We're just going to jump right into it. In this video, first of all, if you haven't checked out our website, make sure you check out our website. What is it again? It is sambotree.com. We're in that time of the year where, again, your body's going through its changes, preparing for the colder months. And we're in that right now. In fact, even out here in Arizona, yeah, the temperature has dropped. Oh, it's a brisk 68, 69 degrees out. It is freezing out here. It's cold out here. Yeah, I know. I'm from the East Coast, so I know what cold is. And so anyway, and meanwhile, we got our people in Chi-Tai. They could tell us a thing or two, and people in Detroit, they could tell us a thing or two about cold as well. So yeah, cold is relative depending on where you are. So when your body is going to be adjusting through those temperature changes. And so what better way to prepare your body and to protect your body than to make sure you're taking in the right things, natural things. And if you head on over to sambotree.com, our website, we got a whole bunch of things, everything from all types of bitters to sea moss, soursop, all kinds of different oils, all kinds of natural things. In fact, if you just look below this video, scroll down just a little bit, you'll see just parts of some of the things that we do offer. You can click on any one of those things. It will take you to our main store again, which is sambotree.com. Make sure you check it out. And a big shout out to all of our loyal customers there that have been banging away at that store. And then, like I said, as always, we're always looking for new things to add, and we are. So anyway, good to see you guys here. We're going to dive right into it. Yesterday, I posted a video, just looking at this story that, one of many stories that have, that take over our timelines from, over time. Again, another story that features another young black man who lost his life and didn't have to. And so there's a typical way that a predictable way that we usually, I'm talking about us as black folks, how we process these types of stories. And so what I wanted to do is actually take a different angle to it, not exonerating Daniel Penny at all, at all. Whatever your opinion is on it is your opinion. That's it. But this was going to be a video where I didn't want to just look at the story and just spend, precious time just talking about how evil he is and how evil white people are and blah, blah, blah. But how can we take this particular incident and turn it into something where we can prevent other Jordan Neely stories from happening? And but the key is how we use our brains to do that. And that was it. It wasn't defending anybody at all. It was about you as the consumer of social media. How do you process it to where it leads to some real tangible change? That's what the video was about. And so what we did was we talked about two key parts of your brain. Of course, your brain has many parts to it, but there's two key parts of your brain. One is called your prefrontal cortex, which is in the front here. That's the part of your brain that takes the time and actually processes, information that it receives, comes up with solutions, asks questions. It tends to be the more analytical part of your brain that's looking for solutions, just trying to chart a path to, okay, how do we fix this? That's your prefrontal cortex. And then the other part of your brain, which is in the center, is called your amygdala. Now, your amygdala is a part of your brain that processes like joy, pain, excitement, all that kind of stuff. It's more the emotional part of your brain. Both parts are needed. There's not one that's better than the other or one that's more evil than the other. It's not like that at all. We just have to we have to learn how to balance those things so that when we do come across whatever the information is that's being presented to us, we're looking at it at a correct way. You understand the emotions are warranted, as I said in the video, but also where does it lead? And that's where your prefrontal cortex comes into play. And that was it. That was all the video was about. That's it. And unfortunately, but not surprisingly, the type of comments we were getting, it showed a lot of things. And so I'm just going to actually go through those comments so you can see for yourself. And then I'll be adding my comments as well. Of course, there were 2 comments, and that's what you see in the title of this video that you're watching now, where I was called Sambo. Based on everything I just shared with you, I was a Sambo for simply showing people how to use your brain when processing certain stories. That's it. So I'm a sellout. I'm a Sambo for simply doing that. And it wasn't, and for the people who did say that, let me be clear, that hardly didn't hurt my feelings. That's like grade school stuff. I'm a grown man. Things like that don't hurt me at all. So you miss me with that. But it did reflect the sentiment of numbers of people, enough for me to say, you know what, I think I should do this video, because the other comments, as we'll start looking at them, you'll see that either these people didn't even bother to watch the video, or they just watched it enough to just dive right into the comments. What I do see is that a lot of people, they will look at the thumbnail, and this is not just my videos, it's any video. They'll look at the thumbnail, they'll immediately go to the comment section. And then, when you click on the video will start playing. And so typically the video will start playing maybe for a little bit, then you pause it so that you can go ahead and write down exactly what you want to say on the topic. Meanwhile, you've skipped all the information that's actually being presented in there. And that's it, because I'm like, did you even watch the video? And I get that a lot. And so that's why for me, it's kind of like, what is, it's what this is it just shows exactly where a lot of our people are. And since this, let me see here. I'm just putting this up here. I want to see what this person said. This out, and they said these types of insults, coon, Sambo, house nigga, Uncle Tom, are the default of the easily offended amongst our community when the truth hits home. You're right, absolutely right, true. And so yeah, so we're gonna look at that right now. So let me go ahead and pull up the video. I'm not gonna play the video. You can watch the video on your own time, and yeah. So we'll just get right into it. And then there's some things I want to. Other things I do want to add to. So this is the video again. The title of it is called How are you using your brain to process the Jordan Neely, Daniel Penny story? All right. And I already gave you kind of a synopsis of what I was talking about there. Okay. So, and not in any particular order here. We're going to just look at some of the comments here. Okay. Here's someone here saying, if anyone's celebrating that murdered freedom, them individuals are sick. I don't know what you're talking about because nobody here is celebrating anything. What also upset me was how many people stood around and did nothing but record this murder. Okay, that upset you, but what about the content of the video on what are you going to do with that emotion? You just going to stay upset, or what you're going to do with that? Okay. Again, the emotions are warranted and are valid, but what are you going to do with that? And that's what the video was about. There's nothing wrong with the comment itself. But what I'm saying is, what the video was about, okay, you had the emotions. Okay, but now what are we going to do about it? That's what the video was about. And then here's someone here that left a comment. This is about 3 hours ago. It says, do you people really have a clue? It's, I guess, talking about me. That young man said he was hungry. If he would have been given a sandwich, some food, maybe that fella would still be alive. He was coked to death by a military veteran that is trained to kill, who also knew when to release his hold around that young man's neck. He didn't do that. He also took the young man out. A trained military veteran coked him to death for yelling he is hungry. None of that was denied in this video. We actually talked about exactly what went down according to eyewitnesses in this video. We literally read it. So why is it that I'm the one don't have a clue of what happened? I literally went through this in the video. And so anyway, you look at the comments here. And so I just said, and when I was getting comments like this, I was just saying amygdala. That's it. You know, the person, whoever left this comment, you're clearly just reacting right out of your amygdala. That's it. What we were talking about in the video. Then someone else came in. Absolutely. Your comment says it all. And then someone else came in. Absolutely agree. This is a travesty. Okay. We know this. We do know this. It is a tragedy. Travesty. We understand that. But what are we going to do with this information? All right. So let's move on to the next. This one I'm going to come back to. This is this comment here. We're going to come back to that one. Okay. Here's another one. The court did right. I don't care what his mental health status is or was. This man could have taken out many innocent people. This is not a race issue whatsoever. Who is making it into a race issue? We weren't talking about that in this video. Again, did you even watch the video in the first place? Here's another comment. White supremacy or white, I guess that's what they're saying, always has to find a soft victim. They can't do it any other way. Sir, you're not making any sense. What exactly am I not making any sense on? I actually literally went through the story. I talked about how we should process it in such a way that we can actually build, come up with some real solutions so that this stuff doesn't happen again. But that's not making any sense. All right, let's go on. And I just said the same thing. When you see my replies, I'm just simply saying amygdala. That's all I'm saying. Here's another one here. Penny didn't use wisdom when he restrained Neely. Neely probably had a history of terrorizing people. Neely probably wasn't in good health. His father, like most black men, puts the blame on someone else for his bad parenting skills. Again, did you even bother watch the video? We actually went through all of that in the video. And this whole thing about most black men is a bunch of BS too. Someone left this comment here. They said, so what are we going to do about this so it stops? What I will respectfully ask you again is to simply watch the video that we're talking about. And if you don't have the time to do that, then I'm just going to leave it at that. But the answer was already given to your question. So I would encourage you to do that. it starts with us. And I kind of laid out just the foundation of how we're to do that. And that's why we're talking about these parts of the brain, because we got to get that right first. But that question was already answered. All right. But I appreciate the comment. Let's see here. Here's someone else that's saying, once a person is rendered defenseless, the danger is over. Penny is guilty as the police in Minnesota. Okay, what does that got to do with anything? Again, that has nothing at all to do with the video. Here's someone else that says, why, sir, are you misusing black people in this manner? So I said, talking about using your brain is misusing black people? Okay, noted. I'm just going through this because I want you to see this is what we're dealing with. This is the mindsets we're dealing with here. And then here's someone else that says, their name is Praise to Yah. It's the Hebrews. Every time Republicans win, people start Samboing. Y'all need another 500 years to figure out, obviously. How is this Samboing and telling you the importance of using your brain? And then this one guy said this will be hard for most because most want to be justified in their feelings and not learn critical thinking skill, which is true. That's absolutely right. And then I said, and sadly, the comments are confirming your statement from making general statements about the case itself to quoting random Bible verses. Simple critical thinking in these parts is as rare as Whole Foods in the hood. And then he came back and said, this was a good start, but I think we need to expound on why these people are on the streets. And I think we both know it has to do with, I don't know what that was supposed to say, single parent households. And I said, man, I actually said this in the video. So again, did you even watch the video? I literally talked about, there was a whole section in this video where we talked about the home and the importance of the home. Anyway, let's move on. Here's someone else. If you're military trained, you could have done this without killing him. I don't believe it was a race issue like the race baiters are making it out to be. More BS from the Democratic Party. Again, did you even watch the video? What are you talking about? We didn't mention anything about Democrats, Republicans. We didn't mention as far as what he couldn't have done in the case. We're simply in the video talking about how do we process this. That's it. Angel Eyes. Someone, she says, or Angela Eyes. I guess that's what it is. Penny sized him up and thought he could take him. There are so many men in the train station that I know Penny would not have jumped up and grabbed them for talking loud, or I guess I was supposed to be talking loud. And I bet Penny doesn't even ride the train because he would have been able to distinguish a loud voice versus a dangerous voice and person. Okay. Again, notice the pattern of these comments is what Penny could have done. You see this is what I'm talking about. How we transition or pivot. It's their fault. It's their fault. Instead of us saying, okay, what he did, right or wrong, but it's done. He's the and Jordan Neely, unfortunately, is out of here. What can we do to prevent any other future Jordan Neelys? But we can't get to that. Here's another one to the host of this video. What are you trying to say? You're not being clear. Are you afraid to state your true feelings on the unjustified murder of Jordan Neely? And remember, Romans 1:32. And so anytime you see me doing these long interactions with people like this, I'm doing that for the benefit for people who may follow the conversation so that you can see for yourself. And the young lady, the person that says, thank you, I will go watch the video. Please leave the link. Don't need to. It's the video right before this one. So if you want to watch it, it's there. It's very easy to get to. All right. Here we go. So I just said more amygdala. I'm sorry, back up. So I said amygdala, like I was saying to a lot of these other comments. And then the person came back and says status, laws, and commandments given to us by the Most High that explain right from wrong. Rather, we follow those laws is our individual choice. But there will be an accounting for wickedness. You've been told the Most High's law about your actions. What the hell does that even mean regarding this story? Do you see what I'm talking about? And then I just said more amygdala. And then they responded, Proverbs 3, chapter 3, verse 5 through 6, right from wrong. And at this point, I said, you know what? It's late. I'm getting tired. I just said, just keep spazzing out. Enlarged amygdalas has to be a thing amongst the religious. Again, this is my attempt to try to bring it back to what the video was actually about. And then this person responded with, what's in our minds is often nonsense. Our minds frequently change like the weather. You were told to trust the Most High, not religion, because religion is wickedness also. Again, what does this have to do with what the video was about? We didn't say anything about religion at all. And so I said, so being brainless is a blessing. That's basically what you're coming to. And then he was like, not brainless, just the standards to live by, the standards to evaluate others, the standards to determine right from wrong. And so I'm sitting up here like, okay, so what do you use to evaluate standards? Your pinky? Your big toe? Oh, you use your brain. That's what we're talking about in this video. All right, almost finished, y'all. Okay, and then I'm going to go to, I'll read this one here. People like him and many others are failed by both the home and government systems. Okay, so I'll just leave that as is. And then this person here, they said most of these young black men are diagnosed with ADHD simply because they are not being challenged in school and made to sit down all day, which most boys can't do anyway. Once that diagnosis is on the books, then begins a journey into psychotropics, which can include Adderall, which is a highly addictive stimulant. Once the schools say they can't be controlled, mama then puts them out of the house because she doesn't want to be bothered, and off to foster care or juvie they go. The only system that fails these adult black men who are like this is the family system that depends on the government systems to do their jobs as parents. 110% correct. 110% correct. And that's what we actually talked about in the video, as it pertains to Jordan Neely. He witnessed, I believe he saw his mother get murdered. I believe he saw it, but his mother was murdered. We know that. And then at the age of 14, if I'm not mistaken, that's when he was put into foster care. And then we talked about in the video what happens a lot of times with these young men and women who go into foster care. They literally, all they have to complain about is having a bad day or a headache, and immediately they're fed an endless supply of psychotropic drugs. And what ends up happening is once they age out of the system, they're thrown out in the street, and they end up like a Jordan Neely who has to fend for himself, and now is dealing with a type of mental illness that was empowered by the psychotropic drugs, but also the unresolved, unhealed mess that he had to deal with knowing that his mother was actually murdered. And then on top of that, you have a father who apparently wasn't even there. So it's just layer upon layer upon layer of stuff that he had to deal with. I'm choosing to focus on those things. That doesn't take anybody off the hook. That's just simply saying, hey, this is something that goes on a lot amongst our people. Let's talk about that so that we don't have to continue this nonsense where this stuff happens over and over again. Now let me go back to this comment here, and then we're going to chat a little bit more here. Okay. Someone said, your content is great, but a lot of your content is incredibly difficult to comprehend by individuals who have yet to deprogram from severe religious programming. It makes complete sense to those who do exercise independent thinking and are deprogramming from religious trauma and mind manipulation and gaslit into thinking that they will burn in hell if they use their own heads and think for themselves and question storylines that are irrational. You have attracted people from both groups, the programmed and the deprogrammed, and it's like both groups are clashing. There is a lot of channels that are in support of the biblical narrative. It's honestly confusing why they insist on going to other spaces and pushing their narrative. Including threats and gaslighting tactics because you refuse to return back to being a control program sheep. 100% right. And this is true. And on that, we can segue back to what we're going to talk about as far as in this video, continue the discussion on that. This channel here that you're on right now, I did in the beginning, this is going back some years. I don't even know how many years now. This is going back some years. Yeah, I did start off in the church. I was a Christian, and I was a Christian for numbers of years, over 40 years. And then from there, out of Christianity, then I got into the Hebrew space. So a lot of the content you would see on this platform, it was reflecting that. And we were talking about Hebrews, we're the chosen people, all of that stuff. So we talked about that in great length as well on this platform. And every step, every change that we have gone through on this platform, we have always been very detailed and very clear, so that we're not just dropping something on somebody like, okay, like the Wiz, like, okay, the color today is yellow. The color today is green. The color, we ain't doing that. We're going to walk you through how we got to where we are. And then at that point, you do with the information what you want to do with it. And then from there, in the Hebrew space, we continue to ask questions as we always been doing. And it was just, we began to start seeing that things just were not adding up. And the more we started asking questions, the more we realized, okay, no, this is not correct at all. And when we do deep dives, we really do deep dives. We're not just looking like a lot of these people that I'm sure some of y'all listen to, when they talking about they're going to do a Bible study, that's all they're looking at. They're looking at the Bible. That's it. When we're looking at the Bible, we're actually looking at the historicity surrounding the Bible, the people who had influence in the Bible, Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, all, in Greek culture. We start getting into all of those things, and how the impact it really had on the Bible, the culture, and all of that stuff, and doing comparatives with other literatures and stuff like that. We do that on a separate platform, but that's what we do. And so once we started doing that, it doesn't make us smarter or greater or anything like that, but it does make us a little bit wiser, and so that's what we, do. And we try to encourage other people to do the same thing on your own, and whatever conclusions you come up with is yours. But it's not just in religious stuff. We do that in everything, be it news or whatever it may be, whatever the topic is. We try to look at it a little bit deeper than maybe your typical platform does, because it's very easy on social media space to do videos where you're just appealing or people's emotions. But I'm done with that. As an individual, I'm completely done with the emotional piece. I'm a person that want to see solutions. I want to see answers, and they're not going to come from the government. I've made myself very clear when it comes to reparations. I agree with the argument. However, I'm not planning my life around the white man giving me a check. I have to look at my own resources and begin to build the life that I want based on what I have, and then go from there. And if something does come down the pike, I'll choose at that point if I want it or not. And I've explained that in great detail as well. But what this shows me is it's a lot of things, at the end of the day, as far as the interest that we have as far as solutions and interest. One of the videos I did recently, I challenged people. I said, name me the Black Hebrew hospital system. Name me the military that the Moors are building. Name me the military structures that IUIC and other Hebrew outposts have in place. You can march down the street in your purple by the thousands, but you're not a military. And the reason why I brought that up is because there are pillars. If you want to establish a true civilization, a true group of people that you want to call a nation, there's some certain pillars that you have to have in place. Economics is one, healthcare is another, military defense, that's another. We went down a whole list. Education. What are the pillars that we are actually setting up versus the ones that we're complaining about? And so what our religion teaches us to do is one day, God's going to come down and he's going to create this. But we never take the initiative to build these things on our own. We don't. We just talk about it. And getting back to this story that we're talking about, Jordan Neely, my heart really goes out for him and his family. Who likes actually hearing about a young black man being murdered? I don't like seeing that at all. I don't think anybody does. But what I also know is this is the reality part that a lot of people probably ain't going to like me saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I would say 90+% of the outrage that you saw in the comment section and in other comment sections and in other videos that we, see about this story and how bad, what's his name, Daniel Penny is, and he represents somebody that white society that's coming after us, and he represents what white supremacy is going to do to all black people. Oh my God. All of that, right? But I guarantee you, the overwhelming majority of you at one point or another had walked past the Jordan Neelys every day, be it on the subway, be it on the street, whatever. So miss me with that when it comes to care. This phony outrage that I'm seeing out here, that all of a sudden you care, the only time you care for a black man is when he's dead. Let me say that again. Most of this outrage is centered around it's phony, and it's about, and the only time you will show real care and concern about black men and black women is when they are dead at the hand or killed, murdered by the hands of a white person. That's the only time you care. And this is exactly the things that I'm talking about when it comes to why our people are dying. We talk about how the population of white people is decreasing, but we don't talk about the fact that black population is also decreasing as well. And it's things like this that is contributing to that. There are many cases. We even make jokes about this stuff where you have homeless black people who are mentally disturbed, and most of you will walk right past them and won't do a doggone thing for them. But we are to sit here and to believe that all of a sudden you have a real care and concern about Jordan Neely and the Jordan Neelys of the world, as if he was part of some kind of a club, that he was a faithful member of our club and all of that. You didn't give two craps about that man, and you know it. And most black folks don't. Now, are there black people out here that are trying to make a difference to the Jordan Neelys of the world? Absolutely. But there are many who are not. That's why in the video that I'm referencing, that I talked about, I pointed to the channel, the YouTube channel, Atlanta Street Interviews. You could check that out for yourself. The video, I mean, he's got tons of videos. I just took samples of 3 of them. Atlanta, which is considered the black Mecca of America. They have a very high homeless rate. This is right in the backyard of MLK, where he's buried. Right in the front yard of what we call black success. And right there, you got a very high homeless rate. Why is that? And many of these homeless people, they are mentally challenged. I used to live in Atlanta. I used to walk around Grady Hospital. You ever been around Grady Hospital in downtown Atlanta? The amount of homeless, mental ill people that are walking around just around the hospital. And the reason why they're around the hospital is because once they get picked up by the police and taken there to get treated, the hospital, they say, well, we got to release them. So they release them back out in the street. These people, black people, they don't have a family that they can go to because their families don't give a damn. Black families don't give 2 craps about them. So they sit there. And I'm talking about hundreds, if not thousands of black folks. This is just in Atlanta. You can go there right now and you'll still see the same thing. But I'm to sit here and to believe that many of the Negroes that are out here screaming and hollering about kneeling care about Neelys of the world? No, you don't. And this is where we have to get to that point first to acknowledge where we have missed it. This is not letting Daniel Penny off the hook for anything. Because I'm not focused on him. I'm focused on how we can fix this so that we can prevent the others from getting into that position where they're getting messed up by someone out there, if you want to call them vigilante or whatever, right? That's what we're focused on. But let me tell you about another story about something that happened last year. Some of you may have remembered this story. Others, you may not have. And literally, it's the same setup. Same setup. June 29, 2023. Charges dropped against a man in deadly stabbing of a homeless man on subway. This took place in New York, in Brooklyn. Charges have been dismissed against Jordan Williams, who was charged with fatally stabbing a 36-year-old homeless man on the subway. Our offices conducted an impartial and thorough investigation of this tragic case, which included review of multiple videos and interviews with all available witnesses, and that evidence was fairly presented to a grand jury, said a Brooklyn District Attorney spokesperson. Today, the charges against Jordan Williams has been dismissed. Under New York law, a person is justified in using deadly physical force when they reasonably believe it is necessary to use such force to defend themselves or others from imminent or deadly or unlawful physical force. Williams, 20, was charged with manslaughter and criminal possession of a weapon in the death of 36-year-old Victor, and I hope I'm saying his name right, I'm going to try it, Ouedraogo on the J train in June the 13th. The Brooklyn District Attorney's Office asked for $100,000 bail, but the judge told Williams, "I have every reason to believe you will fight this case." Investigators reviewed the video of the victim in this, who is believed to be homeless, harassing subway drivers. That sounds similar. This is apparently what led to a fight with Williams before the deadly stabbing. An attorney for Williams says it is a clear case of self-defense. Police said Williams did not stay at the scene, but was taken into custody several subway stops away with his female friend at the Chauncey Street station, still the same train. Police say the folding knife used in the murder was recovered in the man's possession. A witness told Eyewitness News that Williams went too far. This Oh, it's more here. It says, it's certainly something he didn't start or would have probably been involved in if it weren't for, the guy who was killed for being the aggressor, the witness said. But you can't kill someone just because they started a fight with you. This literally is the same exact story. The same exact story. This is the same exact story. And let me deal with the idiots again. It said, let's see here. Here's another one here. Let me see. Can you see that? Sambo don't like to be called Sambo. You can call me whatever you want. I'm 54 years old and I'm old enough to take it. So you may want to get back into your bunker. Okay, so no, it's not that at all. But I'm dealing with the ignorance behind that. And that's what we're explaining. So if you're, so maybe if you got reception there, maybe you can tune in to everything we're saying in here. You can call me whatever you want. That doesn't bother me. It's the foolishness and the ignorance behind that is what I'm addressing. But call me whatever. I've been there, done that, whatever. But getting back to this story here. This is literally the same story. Now, my question to you as the viewer is this. As I go to this page right here, this is the fundraiser. Now, this is the guy that was stabbed by the other black man. This is him right here. Now, this is a GoFundMe page. And, usually the GoFundMe page is going to have a very, beautifully written, biography of the person that was injured or, was the victim here. So we're going to read it. I hope this message finds you well. I'm reaching out to you today with a heavy heart to discuss a matter that is deeply important to me and my family. We are currently facing an overwhelming burden following the tragic loss of my brother, the Victor, and last name. And then they describe that. The Victor unexpected passing has left us devastated. As we strive to honor his memory and provide him with a proper farewell, we find ourselves in need of assistance to ensure that the Victor receives a respectful and dignified funeral that he deserves. The Victor was a cherished member of our family, known for his kind heart, generosity, and unwavering commitment to helping others. He touched the lives of many with his selflessness and always had a smile on his face. It is our deepest desire to give him a farewell that reflects the love and admiration we have for him. And then it goes on and talks about, thank you, for your support, blah, blah, blah. Now, my question to you is this, is that in this case, dealing with Jordan Neely, we did the same thing. We showed him doing his dances, the Michael Jackson dances, and we heard all the flowery stories of how good of a person he was and all this. Oh, he was just taken too young. And I'm not saying any of that was wrong or unjustified or whatever. I'm not saying that at all. But my question to you is this, the ones that are watching this video right now, is why did you not afford that same type of sentiment when it came to this person here? What was the difference between the two stories? One, you gave an overwhelming sentiment and wanted to treat him after he's dead that he was somehow part of the family. But the other story, you didn't have anything to say about him. What's the difference between the two stories? I wonder if anybody can guess that. I wonder if anybody's bold enough to put that in the chat right now. What's the difference between these two stories? What's the difference? Why, again, was one story, we made him to be, he was just an angel of the streets, walking down the streets, just minding his business, decided to get on the train, and all of a sudden this person came and killed him. The other story, same thing, according to the family. He's just a beautiful person, lit up the room and, whatever. And all of a sudden someone came and took him. Let me help you out. For those of you who are stuck, the difference is in one case, the person who did the killing was a white person. The other case, it was just run of the mill, just how we do things. That's the difference. One, you can have a whole lot of narratives tied to it, and you can push all kinds of agendas with it. The other, it's just whatever. It's just more the same. When you're in the zoo, that's what the animals do. Do you see what I'm getting at here? And do you understand? Hopefully, this is why I'm saying, hey, we need to break this cycle where the value of our men, the value of our women is not predicated on who killed them. But the value of, but we begin to start putting real value on our own lives while we're still alive. And we begin to make sure we're doing everything we can to secure that so that we can continue to build each other up. But somehow, if you try to have that kind of conversation, well, you're a sellout. You're an Uncle Tom. You're this, you're that, you're whatever. And here's another video I want to share with y'all. This is just to give you an idea. This is in, I don't even know what city this is. It looks like it's like in New York. It's definitely Northeast. Ain't too many places in America got subways like this. This is in this is, I'm trying to see where this is. This is just an example of what I'm talking about. And this is why I say it's so phony, the outrage that we're seeing here. Let me see if I can pull this. Okay, here we go. Sorry, it's right here. Now, as someone who grew up partially in the city, I'm pretty well familiar with people who have mental illness and stuff when you're on the train or on the street or whatever. You know, my mom always trained me, listen, don't ever make eye contact and keep it moving. You know, and once you do that, you good. Most of the time you're good. They ain't gonna do nothing. Most of the time that's not the case. Now, when we were living in New Jersey, the last time we were there, which a couple of years ago, my daughter, you know, she would catch the train sometimes in Camden, New Jersey. And she was telling me that she actually had some of these people not only yelling at her, catcalling her, but actually putting hands on her. Now, as a father, you know, I didn't need to hear that, but I did need to hear that because we changed up things very, very quickly. So, yeah, at times these people do become very aggressive. All right. And so here's just someone that filmed this. This to me ain't nothing new. I've seen this all the time, and I know many of you have seen this kind of stuff too. Now, he was getting in some people's face, you know, but people just kind of, you know, again, if you're familiar with that environment, like I said, again, in most cases, you just, you know, you don't, no eye contact or nothing, or act like you on your phone or, you know, put on earbuds on or whatever. But like I said, there are plenty of cases where these people more than cross the line and now they want to start putting hands on you. Now that turns the situation to something completely different. And I'm gonna tell you right now, for me, I don't know what would happen. I'll probably black out. I'll be honest with you after that. because I don't do that. I try to give people enough space as possible, but I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm going to be like, young man, it's going to be, nah, mm-mm. And if it's my family, that's a whole nother story too. So again, my thing is this, just to kind of make sure we all, I'm staying on track here. Number one, no, we don't. Most black folks do not care about the Jordan Neelys of the world, if we're honest about it, because there are too many of them that are out here right now, that many black folks actually just walk by and don't do anything. We don't. They don't even exist. They don't even exist in their own family. I've worked with and talked with and fed people that are homeless and try to get them, as many times I've tried to feed them, and they just, sometimes they'll take it, sometimes they won't, a lot of times they just asking for money. And so typically my reaction is, I'm not going to give you money, but there's a restaurant right across the street. Let me take you there and get some food. And they're like, nah, I don't want that. And then I said, okay, then you ain't hungry then. You know what I mean? I just leave it at that and keep it moving. But then there's some that are in the presence of mind. That's why I said I would encourage you to go to that Atlanta Street Interviews channel, where he's actually talking with people who do have a presence of mind, where you can have a piece of a conversation and they'll tell you all the stories. And these are all black people. They will tell you how much they are not wanted by their black families. Let me say that again. The people that he is talking to in the streets of Atlanta, they are saying out of their black mouths that their own families don't want them. So how in the world am I going to sit up here and pretend that if you feel some kind of hurt or pain or something in your heart because a Jordan Neely was lost? It's phony. It's fake. But that even your fakeness doesn't eliminate the fact that we do have a lot of people out here that do need help. And that's what this video was about. The video that we did prior to this, that's what it was about. It was about first getting into the mindset so that we can help ourselves. So once we help ourselves in how we properly process these stories, then we can go to having meaningful conversations and actually using a part of our brain where we are planning out how do we actually help these people so that they can get the actual help that they need, and working in a direction where we're not depending on the government to provide that solutions. I'm not looking at the government to provide a solution for homelessness, and neither should you be looking into that. We did a video yesterday. I posted over on our Sambo Tree YouTube page. If you didn't watch it, I would encourage you to watch it. I said we should be our own primary physician. We got to stop depending, because there's this whole discussion now about single payer healthcare and how the government needs to do better and making sure that everybody's insured and all of that stuff. And I'm saying, are you not tired? Black man, black woman, can you listen to me for a moment? We've been in this country for over 400 years. Can you answer me this question for me? We've been in this country for over 400 years. We have seen what this system is about and how this system does not care about black people. In fact, they don't care about anybody. Did you see the quote that I put in that video, in that on Sambo Tree video, where what was his name? Henry Ford, I believe. He said he wants a nation of employees. He wants a nation of workers. The educational system is designed to get people to think like a worker. I can do a whole video right now how the educational system across the board is teaching people not to read whole books. Instead, they teach people how to get just keywords. And then, from there, you just, you go with whatever you want to go, your own interpretation. This is impacting everybody in the West. And unfortunately, black people are the ones that are leading the way and the ones that read the least in the things that we should be reading about. And we talked about that. Now let me just address this person here, because since you got a lot to say here, let me just go here. Stop generalizations of we don't care and we still here because we still care. If it doesn't apply to you, then it doesn't apply to you. It's plain and simple. Okay, so that we're very clear on that. If it does not apply to you, then it does not apply to you. I'm speaking to the people who it does apply to. And clearly you're not familiar with this channel, because we take a lot of time and we make that distinction very clear that there are plenty of black folks who are doing the right things, who are making a difference, who are taking the time to think outside of the box and are building things. We talk about this all the time. So this is what this platform isn't. It isn't a place for people to dwell in. That's what we were talking about in the video that you acknowledge that you did not watch. There's a difference between someone operating and functioning primarily on their amygdala and not on this part here, that's prefrontal cortex. That's what we talked about. Now, if you want to hear that, again, my encouragement to you is stop watching this video, go back to that video, hear the whole matter, then you can come back and then we can talk some more. But we're not going to do that at all. We're not going to get into this emotional stuff. We're not doing that at all. But we've done, if you go through our community page, we've talked about all these different groups. And as far as you saying that we're still here, look at the numbers. Again, we talked about this in that community post as well. We talked about this. We said that, yes, we're still here, but our numbers are declining. Whites are declining. Their numbers are declining. Their birth rate replacement rate is at 1.8. I think it's 1.8 children per woman. Our birth rate replacement rate as Black Americans is at 1.9. You know what the birth replacement rate is of people in West Africa and in Western Africa? It's like 6 point something. The lowest on the continent of Africa when it comes to birth replacement rate, children per woman, is like Kenya somewhere, and it's like 3 point something. We're going in the opposite direction. So are Black people here? Absolutely. But we're declining. Our numbers are declining, and we're declining rapidly. And if we want to make a change to that, then we're going to have to be willing to have conversations like this so that we can dive into this and we can start tangibly making some true changes and making some tough decisions. But what I do know and I realize is that that cannot be accomplished on social media, I don't believe. Because it's just, like I said, too many of our people, unfortunately, it's just, we're not there. We're just not. And so, people can, and so when you bring religion into it, and that's what we were talking about in the, I got a video coming out on that, the fall of Bible land. Once you bring religion into it, religion literally trains you to trains you to not use your brain. Everything is 100% faith. Nobody's blocking you, honey. We don't need to do that. We're adults and we can have meaningful conversation. But what I'm saying is that I don't want you or anybody else, if you're going to be a part of this conversation, don't stay in your emotions. That's all I'm saying. Just listen to the whole thing. Anybody that's been on this platform for a long time know that I do not say all Black people are this or all Black people are that. I've never said that. Sometimes I get criticized for taking too much time saying, having to make sure that's clear. So no, I don't do that at all. So that's why I said, just take a step back, and you may want to go watch that other video first. It's only 20 minutes, if even that. I don't even think it's that long. So I would encourage you to watch that. I don't need to block you unless you're being disrespectful, and that's something different. And you haven't demonstrated that at all. So let me go through the comments here real quick on the in the chat here, and I think I'm pretty much done. I think that's it. But I wanted to take the time just to go through this. Number one, the whole, calling me a Sambo. No, I'm a grown man, and that kind of stuff, it doesn't bother me at all. It really doesn't. It doesn't. But what I am looking at are the general sentiments that if it was reflecting what other people are saying, then I'm like, you know what? Let's do a video on this and let's table this and let's talk about this a little bit more. And that's why I'm doing, but it had nothing to do with my own feelings or anything like that. Because as I said before, you know, my family and I, we're making our own plans and we're making our own moves and all of that outside of out here feeling like we got to tell everybody what we're doing, because we're not. We're going to move on. Our family is going to continue to thrive and survive, and we're going to keep moving on. And I hope yours do the same. But in order for us to do that, there's certain things that we're going to have to shed and get rid of, you know, and that's, I'm speaking for us, you know, my own family. Let me take a quick look through here real quick here. So, yeah, so for those of you, if you really do care about the Jordan Neelys, my hope is that you would take the time and really process that and ask yourself, what exactly are you doing to prevent the Jordan Neelys of the world who are already out there in the streets? Because right now, I'm telling you right now, most black folks, most, and that's not a generalization. We don't care like that. You can go in any major city right now where there's a significant number of black people. We walk by these people, the Jordan Neelys of the world, all the time. All the time. If you get a chance to even talk to the Jordan Neelys of the world, they will tell you themselves that for one reason or another, even their own families don't want them. That's a problem. You remember a few years ago how all these stories are floating around about how, oh my God, they're stealing. They're taking black people off the street. They're stealing. What about our black daughters? Our black daughters, they're swiping our black daughters off the street. You remember all of that? Oh, there's a big thing. It was like in DC. This was like in Washington, DC. Oh, they're stealing black women. It's part of human trafficking. See, these white people, they're doing this. And we came up with a whole conspiracy theory. And you know what came out of that? The police department in Washington, D.C., they said, listen, let's put a stop to this right now. The black-led police department in Washington, D.C. said the reason why you're seeing all of these notices of black people, young black people who are missing, is because we just updated our database where we're now connecting it to the internet so that, because a lot of these cases get forgotten, that, you know, and so what we did was we flipped the switch. So now that those stories are now getting on the internet, so yeah, it's given the appearance that people are being snatched off in this short period of time, but that's not the case at all. It was just that we were just connecting our database to the internet. And then on top of that, they looked into it even further and they found out a lot of those cases, these weren't people that were being snatched from their home. I'm talking about young black women now, mostly young black women. They weren't being snatched from their home. You know what was happening? They were running away from their homes. Most of these young black women who were missing, I'm talking about in that DC area, they weren't being snatched from their home. They weren't being kidnapped. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm talking this specific case here. In most of those cases, those young black women were running away from their homes. So I remember then I said, so now the question is this: why are they running away from their black homes? Why are they running away from their black homes? See, I can do a story right now. We can do videos right now where we're doing breakdowns about Daystar Channel and all the stuff that's going on with that, or Billy Carson or TD Jakes or P. Diddy. Oh, I'll get a lot of clicks on that. See, at this point now, the numbers don't even bother me. It don't even matter. It doesn't. It really never did, but it really doesn't now. It's really at this point now, what are we going to do with the resources that we have at our disposal right now? And the number one resource that I'm talking about is this: your brain. Your brain. I don't need the government to help me use my brain. I don't need a government program for this. If I can get this right, how I process information, then I'm the government, okay? I'm the physician I need, right? I'm the answer that I'm looking for my situation, right? That's where it begins. I'm not, and then for those of you who won't go too far out there, I'm not saying I'm God. I'm simply saying that we have been fully equipped with just about everything we need to solve these problems. But it does start here. Not in religion, not in this bull crap about, oh, you didn't, you fell into sin and all that. Nah, none of that religious stuff. We don't need that. And in this video that I'm going to do, we're going to talk about how religion basically was invented to basically to control the population. Do you notice how religion, all these different religions out here, they never talk about in their dogma about overthrowing the government? You notice that? Isn't that interesting? It's almost as if you do all this stuff. How many of y'all remember that movie RoboCop? Remember in RoboCop, he had like 3 primary directors, but there was a 4th one. What was the 4th director? The 4th director was never come against any employee of whatever the company was. That's what the directive was. And what I'm saying to you is that what religion does, it's the same way. You can fight amongst yourselves. You can call each other names. You can have endless debates on social media, whatever, but never come against the government. Never come against it. We'll even allow you to say some things about the government, but never come against the government. That's for Christianity. That's for all the thousands of black men we see in camps like IUIC or whatever. They marching down the street in their purple and everybody like, oh, look at that. Oh, praise to the Most High. Look at that. He's raising up our men. But what are they doing? They're just walking down the street, getting on buses and going back home. That ain't doing anything. It's time for us to start using this. And that's what we're about here. So you're going to see me at times taking some breaks here and there so I can get this refreshed and recharged and all of that. But I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep on keeping on. And I'm going to try to be as truthful and honest as I possibly can on this platform and any other platform that we're on. But it ain't just this platform. Like I said, we're going to be focusing more on health and wellness on our Sambo Tree YouTube channel. So if you're not subscribed to that, make sure you subscribe to that. We also have Odyssey. That's a whole nother YouTube video platform where we can really be more open and talk about a lot of this stuff. We're going to be getting back into talking about what's going on down in Conyers, Georgia, with the biolab company. The results that have come in on that. And basically what the scientist is saying is that it is the worst. It is one of the worst chemical spills in American history. I'm a pause on that for a second. Conyers, Georgia, which has a majority black population, back last week of August, going to the first week of September, there was a chemical fire. And the results have come back in. And basically what one of the scientists is saying is that this is looking like, based on the numbers, one of the worst chemical spills or whatever you want to call it in American history. Any of the channels that you follow, did they talk about that? Did they mention that? Or are they still talking about Kamala? Or maybe they're still talking about how they feel about what happened with Jordan Neely, their feelings about it. Or maybe they're talking about The View and what they're saying. Or maybe they're talking about how black women ain't this and black men ain't that. You got a whole catastrophe that has taken place in one of the largest cities in America with a majority black population. And you telling me now one person in most of the cases that you follow, they're not even talking about it? But I'm the Sambo. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. You figure it out on your own ultimately. But at the end of the day, we're going to stand on truth here and truth alone. That's what we're about here. And like I said, again, we love you enough. We don't know you, but I'm telling you, if we're telling you the truth, what that's telling you, if we're about truth and we're committed to it, that's us demonstrating our love. And when I say us, I'm talking about me and my beautiful wife as well. She's not here right now, but she is definitely here. Make no mistake about it. Okay. You guys take care, and we will be talking again soon. We got a lot more coming. So you guys take care, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you for joining me. Take care, and I'll see you.